Deutsche Reichsbahn of 10 February 1937. The Deutsche Reichsbahn Gesellschaft was placed under Reich sovereignty and was given the name Deutsche Reichsbahn. World War II and military use. The Reichsbahn had an important logistic role in supporting the rapid movement of the troops of the Wehrmacht, for example. 1938 military ticket from Rendsburg to Königsberg. PR, March 1938. The annexation of Austria, Anschluss, and October 1938. The annexation of the Sudetenland after the Munich Agreement. March 1939. The German occupation of Czechoslovakia. September / October 1939. The invasion of Poland. April 1940, Operation Reservebahn, the invasions of Denmark and Norway. May / June 1940, the Battle of France. 1941, Operation Barbarossa and the Balkan Campaign. In all the occupied lands, the Reichsbahn endeavored to incorporate the captured railways, rolling stock and infrastructure into their system. Even towards the end of the war, the Reichsbahn continued to move military formations. For example, in the last great offensive, the Battle of the Bulge, from the 16th of December 1944, tank formations were transported from Hungary to the Ardennes. The railways managed by the Eastern Railway Division, Generaldirektion der Ostbahn, were initially run from that part of the Polish state railways within the so-called general government-assigned part of Polish Staatsbahnen, PKP, but from November 1939 by the Ostbahn, General Government. World War II Reichsbahn military market railwaymans. KB Burner Lantern, c. 1942, in the campaigns against Poland, Denmark, France, Yugoslavia, Greece etc. The newly acquired standard gauge networks could be used without difficulty. By contrast, after the start of the invasion of Russia on the 22nd of June 1941, the problem arose of transferring troops and material to Soviet broad gauge lines or converting them to German standard gauge. Confounding German plans, Third Army and Soviet railways managed to withdraw or destroy the majority of its rolling stock during its retreat. As a result, German standard gauge rolling stock had to be used for an additional logistic role within Russia. This required laying of standard gauge track. The price was high. Reichsbahn railway staff and the railway troops of the Wehrmacht had to convert a total of 16,148 kilometers, 10,034 mi, of Soviet trackage to German standard gauge track between the 22nd of June and the 8th of October 1941. 12. During the war, locomotives in the war zones were sometimes given camouflage livery. In addition, locomotives were painted with the Hohenzollern symbol, the eagle, Germany's traditional symbol of national sovereignty, holding a swastika. On goods wagons the name Deutsche Reichsbahn was replaced by the letters DR. Postal coaches continued to bear the name Deutsche Reichspost. The logistics of the Reichsbahn were crucial to the conduct of Germany's military offensives. The preparations for the invasion of Russia saw the greatest troop deployment by rail in history. Expansion. Characteristic of the first 6.5 years of this period was the exponential growth of the Deutsche Reichsbahn, which was almost exclusively due to the takeover of other national railways. This affected of parts of foreign state railways, in Austria the entire state railway, in the countries annexed by the Deutsche Reich, as well as private railways in Germany and in other countries. State railways taken over or incorporated into the Deutsche Reichsbahn. Date of takeover name area marks 18 March 1938 Austrian Federal Railways, BBO. The takeover of rolling stock officially followed on 1 January 1939. October 1938 Parts of the Czechoslovak State Railway, SD, only railways located in the regions annexed by the Deutsche Reich, Sudetenland, 23 March 1939 Parts of the Lithuanian State Railway Railways in Memeland 1 November 1939 Parts of the Polish State Railways, PKP, lines in regions that had been German to 1918 and in adjacent areas with a German-speaking minority from 1940 Parts of the Belgian Railways, NMBS/SNCB. Gradual takeover of the region ceded to Belgium in 1920-1941 Parts of the Yugoslavian Railways, J, lines within the incorporated regions of Lower Styria and Upper Carniola 1941 Parts of the Soviet Railways, SD/, lines located in the pre-1939 Polish district of Bialystok. Private railway companies taken over or incorporated into the Deutsche Reichsbahn. Date of takeover: Nami network length 1 January 1938 Lübeck-Buching Railway, LBE, 160.8 km 1 January 1938 Brunswick State Railway, BLE, 109.5 km 1 August 1938 Lokalbahn Munich, LAG, 187.7 km 1 January 1939 Lusatian Railway Company 80.9 km 1939 to 1940 in former Austria, Schneeberg Railway, Skufberg Railway, Ster Valley Railway Lower Austrian Waldviertel Railway, Vienna Spang Railway, Mulkrest Railway 19409 former Czechoslovak private railways, which the DR had already taken over the operations of in October 1938 from 1940 railways in Luxembourg, Prince Henry Railway and Mining Company, William Luxembourg Railway Company, Luxembourg Narrow Gauge Railways, 1 January 1941 Mecklenburg Frederick William Railway Company 112.6 km 1 January 1941 Prignitz Railway 61.5 km 1 January 1941 Wittenberg-Perleberg Railway 10 km 1 Mai 1941 Eutin-Lübeck Railway Company, ELE, 39.3 km 1 August 1941 Kress-Oldenburg Railway, KOE, 72.3 km 1 January 1943 Twarz-Rustow-Loitz. Light Railway 7 km 1 July 1943 Schikor-Feinstwald Railway Company 33 km. Holocaust. The Wagon Monument, Yad Vashem, Jerusalem. The Wagon Monument, Yad Vashem, Jerusalem. The logistics of the Reichsbahn were also an important factor during the Holocaust. Jews were transported like cattle to the concentration and extermination camps by the Deutsche Reichsbahn in trains of covered goods wagons, now known as Holocaust trains. These movements using cattle wagons from the goods station of the Great Frankfurt Market Hall, for example, thus played a significant role in the genocide within the extermination machinery of the Holocaust. In 1997, the market erected a memorial plaque in recognition of this dark period of history. 1314. The following is an excerpt from the testimony of Holocaust scholar Raoul Hilberg. The Reichsbahn was ready to ship in principle any cargo in return for payment. And therefore the basic key price controlled key was that Jews were going to be shipped to Treblinka, were going to be shipped to Auschwitz, so Bible. So long as the railroads were paid by Tetrach kilometer, so many pfennigs per mile. The rate was the same throughout the war, with children under 10 going at half fare and children under 4 going free. Payment had to be made for only one way. The guards of course had to have return fare paid for them because they were going back to their place of origin. 15. Conditions in the wagons were inhumane because no water or food was provided, and sanitary arrangements were minimal, usually a bucket in a corner of the wagon. Although each wagon was intended to hold about 50 people, they were frequently overcrowded and holding 100 to 150 people. No heating was provided, so people could freeze in winter and overheat in summer. Deaths in the wagons were frequent among the young, old, sick, and disabled, especially as travel was slow and often lasted many days since F trains had low priority on the tracks. Their small amount of luggage was stored separately, sometimes at the station and never left with the train, but examined for valuables which were stolen or resold for profit. Beginning in November 2007, a museum train, the Train of Commemoration, Zug der Erinnerung, began a 3,000 kilometers, 1,900 mi, tour of Germany as a rolling memorial to the thousands of youth and children who were deported from all over Europe, many via the Reichsbahn, to the camps. A certain amount of controversy has surrounded the train's tour through Germany, in part because of the apparent lack of cooperation on the part of Deutsche Bahn AG, DBAG, concerning such matters as compensation for use of the DBAG's right-of-way during the tour, and the stationing of the train during its visit to Berlin, at Hauptbahnhof station instead of the more centrally located Hauptbahnhof main railway station. The tour is scheduled to end on the 8th of May, 2008, the 63rd anniversary of the end of the European portion of World War II, when the train arrived at Auschwitz. However, it continued to make appearances through 2009, and as of January 2010 the website requests visitors to look for further travel plans at the end of February. 16. Rebuilding after 1945. German railways were heavily bombed by Allied IF and USAF bombers. Marshalling yards, bridges, repair shops, and service facilities were all destroyed. Fighter bombers targeted locomotives and bombed Helm. As a result, trains were at a standstill in the spring of 1945. The cities of Hamburg, Munich, Nuremberg, Frankfurt, Dusseldorf, Berlin, Leipzig, Dresden and others were affected. Stations were completely destroyed and wagons and carriage set on fire and destroyed. Bomb craters and blasts seriously damaged the permanent way or rail track. The Allied forces of occupation were put in charge and instantly had myriad problems regarding food, lack of housing, fuel, displaced persons and people on the move. The Engineering Corps of British and American forces oversaw the partial rebuilding of the lines and cars with local labor from prisoners of war, rebel women, and demobilized soldiers. Temporary wooden bridges were put up over destroyed spans. Multiple tracks were disassembled into one smaller working line, equipment assessed and rebuilt. In 3 months, the railway was working again in a rudimentary form. The armies of occupation needed the railways to move coal and the soon-to-be-gathered agricultural harvest. Deutsche had a critical shortage of wagons, carriages and locomotives. So much so that the US gave war surplus engines to ensure the movement of freight. Breakup of the Reichsbahn. With the end of the Second World War in 1945, those parts of the Deutsche Reichsbahn that were outside new German borders laid down in the Potsdam Agreement were transferred to the ownership and administration of the states in whose territory they were situated. For example, on the 27th of April, 1945, the Austrian railways became independent again as the Austrian State Railway, Österreichische Staatseisenbahn or OSB, later renamed as the Austrian Federal Railways, Österreichische Bundesbahnen OBB, on the 5th of August 1947. Railways in the occupation zones. Operational control of the rest of the DR was devolved to the respective zones of occupation so that the Reichsbahn legally existed in 4 parts until 1949. US zone. In the American zone, the Reichsbahn divisions of Augsburg, Frankfurt am Main, Kassel, Munich, Regensburg and Stuttgart, for the railways in Württemberg-Baden, were subordinated to the Senior Control Office US Zone, Oberbetriebsleitung United States Zone, in Frankfurt. British Zone. The Reichsbahn divisions of Essen, Hamburg, Hanover, Cologne, Munster, Westphalen, and Wuppertal were grouped into the Reichsbahn General Direction in the British zone under Director General Max Librand in Bielefeld. French zone. In the French occupation zone, the railways were grouped into the Operating Association of the Southwest German Railways, Betriebsvereinigung der Südwestdeutschen Eisenbahnen, with its headquarters in Speyer. The Operating Association included the railway divisions of Karlsruhe, in the US zone, Mainz and Saarbrücken. After the Saarland was transferred from the French zone and was given its own state railway, the railways of the Saarland, Eisenbahn